Yeah.
I want to talk to you about one of the most important factors in success for game and for actually any endeavor relating to sales, okay? And that is being a closer. And beyond that, even being a hard closer. Because most people that do sales, that do game, they're naturally not assertive. To be fair, most people in life are not overly assertive. But the fact of the matter is, in order to close a sale, in order to sleep with a girl, usually you do have to ask for the order. You do have to ask for what you want and maybe even push for what you want a little bit. But nobody wants to be pushy. Nobody wants to be that annoying asshole. So how do you become a hard closer without becoming that pushy asshole? Well, I'm gonna give you a 3-step process. First step is this: realize that closing is necessary, all right? Here's a shocking statistic. Most sales calls, i.e. a salesman is sitting down with someone who has agreed to look at something with the idea of buying, most sales calls end without anyone asking anyone to buy anything, okay? As in, two people sat down with the express intent that something was to be sold, and nobody said, hey, would you like to buy that? Hey, do you like that in red or blue? Nobody said it. Or you go on a date and nobody said, or you talk to a girl and you don't say, hey, what's your number? Let's hang out. Or you go on a date and you don't say, hey, you know what? You want to continue this somewhere more comfortable? You don't do anything, okay? Most sales calls, most dates, most interactions with attractive women end without any attempt to close. Now, the weird converse of that is, and I don't know the exact statistic on this because I heard it years ago, for sales, I think most sales are made after at least 3 attempts to close, as in you've asked for the order at least 3 times. It's probably similar in game, right? You hint at maybe going somewhere, she's a little objection, you sell it a little bit, and then later on you bring it up and she's like, yeah, sure, right? Most times you have to ask multiple times, maybe in different ways, maybe you have to present it the right way that's congruent for her. Okay, so in sales and in game, almost nobody asks for the order, yet when there's a success, the order is asked for at least 3 times, if not more. Do you see that sort of like split? This is one of the biggest reasons why guys don't get results. It's one of the biggest reasons in business and sales and whatever you're doing in your life financially, you're not getting results, right? Even if you work in a corporate job, are you asking your boss for a raise, right? Have you bothered to ask for that order, right? People aren't assertive, people don't ask for what they want, and especially with women, people don't ask for what they want, okay? So you need to be asking for what you want. So I want to impress upon you the importance. Okay, so that's step 1, is understand how incredibly important this is to your success at life, your success with women. It is it might be the most important factor, but it's certainly one of the top 5 factors that's gonna be influencing your success in life. So this is fucking important shit, okay? Understand that importance, that's step 1. Step 2, understand the difference between what I call sympathy and empathy, okay? Now, sympathy and empathy both relate to understanding what someone else is going through, understanding someone else's situation. Sympathy is where you get on board and become a part of their situation. Empathy is where you understand their situation and you try and help them through it. Okay, so in a sales situation, if someone says, I just don't have the money for it, sympathy would be like, yeah, it's expensive, never mind, I'll go. And you just give up and say, oh, they don't have the money, okay, fine, I won't try and sell it to them. I don't want to be pushy, right? Someone with sympathy, and the client has a problem, the salesman makes that their problem too, okay? Or for example, with girls, she's like, oh, I have to go home with my friends. It's like, oh, she has to go home with her friends, okay, this isn't gonna happen, and just gives up. Instead of trying to solve the problem, he makes it his problem as well, okay? Empathy would be if you try and solve the problem. So let's look at the same cases. In the sales example, oh, you don't have enough money for it? Well, we have several payment plans if you'd like to install it this way. Or can you see how this investment will actually save you money in the long run, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so those may be the sales solutions. The girl solution, when she says, I gotta go home with my friends, instead of thinking, oh shit, she has to go home with her friends, this isn't gonna go down, think to yourself, well, she wants to go with me, she has this issue, which is the friends, how can I solve it? Like, oh, did you drive with them? Where'd they come from? Hey, I'm going this way, I can drive you home. Hey, go home with your friends, call me after. There's a lot of different solutions that are possible. But someone with sympathy automatically gives up or automatically makes himself part of their problem, makes the problem worse by buying into it. Someone with empathy says, oh, here's their situation, how do I help them through it? How do I help them solve it? And believe you me, people in life, they need friends, lovers, salespeople that have empathy. They need problem solvers in their life. So people have lots of problems. If you're the person that's creative with empathy and can solve the problem, people are going to love you. People are going to be closed by you, both for sex and for sales. Okay? So sympathy versus empathy. Don't have sympathy, have empathy. Okay? Don't become part of the problem, become the solution to the problem. By all means, listen. By all means, understand what the person's going through and relate, but then become part of the solution. Okay? So that's step 2. Right, again, step 1, understand how important it is to be a closer. Step 2, understand the difference between sympathy, becoming the problem, empathy, solving the problem. Okay? Part 3 is what I call strong belief in product. Okay, and what I mean by this, we'll go through a sales example again here. People in sales who know all the sales techniques and know all the lines do pretty well. Do you know who does even better than them? Someone who absolutely believes in what they're selling and believes everyone in the world should have it. It's so common that you have like maybe a sales force and you have your experienced salespeople and you have someone new come in and they just came out of training, they're excited, they're jazzed about the product, and they sell like crazy because they just believe this product is the greatest thing that's ever been invented and everyone needs one. And they might mess up the close and they might mess up their presentation. They might not know all the sales techniques, but the person talking to them can tell they believe in it, and that comes through. All right, and then over time, a lot of those people actually, they lose that enthusiasm and their sales actually go down even as they're learning sales techniques. It's pretty crazy. Right? And some people keep it and become great salesmen. Okay, it's the same thing in game. It's the same thing with girls. Do you believe in your product, which in this case is you? Do you believe that you are a good thing for the girl? All right, it's absolutely essential that you do. And here's the thing, if you believe that you're a good deal for the girl, you also should believe that you owe it to them to be a hard closer, and you owe it to them to be a little bit pushy. In order to illustrate this last point, I want to share with you a story from someone named Zig Ziglar. He's now deceased, but he was one of the greatest sales trainers and greatest motivational speakers of all time. This came from his early days as a salesman. He was in the rural South, in a town where everybody knew everybody. He was selling cookware, basically pots and pans, in this small town. So he was sitting down with someone trying to sell him some pots and pans. And at the end of the kind of meeting, the guy said, look, I got your money right here for those pots and pans, and you're not getting it. Because I've been saving up for years to get indoor plumbing for my family so you won't have to go to that outhouse. And I got the money, and that's what it's going for. You ain't getting it. And Zig Ziglar at the time, he'd grown up in a house where he didn't have indoor plumbing as well, and he definitely sympathized rather than empathizing with the guy. And he's like, yeah, I understand. I get it. And he just, called the sales call, left without trying much harder, walked away, didn't sell many pots and pans. About a week or so later, he's talking to a relative of this guy, and she's like, my cousin says he hates you. And Zig's like, why would he hate me? I'm a nice guy. It's like, she says you wouldn't sell him any cookware. And Zig's like, I tried really hard to sell him some cookware. In fact, if you want to, let's go find him right now. I'll sell him some cookware right now. And she said, it's too late. He doesn't trust you anymore. And Zig Ziglar said he was baffled by this, like completely confused, didn't get it at that stage in his sales career. But as he grew up as a salesman and learned the sales process, it started to make sense to him. And here's what he says happened. Basically, he had convinced the man that he was trying to sell the cookware that it was a good investment for him, that it would help him, that he needed it, that it would save him money, all those kind of things. And then he got a little bit of objection and he quit. And so at that moment, the guy had to think to himself, either, wait, was Zig lying to me the whole time and that's why he gave up so easily? Or was he telling me the truth and this would have been good for me and he didn't fight for me? He didn't fight to make sure I made the right decision. And so the fact that Zig Ziglar didn't push hard, the fact that Ziglar was the nice guy and backed off, actually made the guy distrust him and dislike him as opposed to making him like him. That's a very, very interesting thing to consider, okay? And as you consider that, I want to, from a dating perspective, give you this kind of thought. A lot of guys aren't pushy with girls because they want to be nice. They want to be the nice guy who's not pushy, right? But the fact of the matter, same as in sales, in dating, most girls need to be asked a few times before they say yes. So if you, as the nice guy who cares about her interests, don't push, and she needs a guy who will push in order to sleep with him, well, that means the guys she's going to sleep with will be the assholes that don't care about her interests. So when you back down being the nice guy and think you're doing her a service, what you're doing is a disservice, because you're basically consigning her that she has to have asshole boyfriends. So you think you're being nice, but you're not. And again, it all comes full circle to believing in yourself. If you believe that you're a good deal, if you believe that you're right for her, you believe you're going to be a good boyfriend, bring value to the relationship, then you have an obligation, right? Not just a privilege, an obligation to be a hard closer if you care about the person you're talking to. Because if you have all this value to offer and you're not a hard closer, you're depriving them of that value and you're consigning them to being with a much worse person, all right? So just to recap, it's so critical to your results in sales, in women, in life, to be a hard closer, because most situations require you to ask for the sale, ask for the order multiple times. Number 2, understand the difference between sympathy and empathy. Are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? Number 3, understand that everything comes down to your belief. People can read off you how committed you are and how much you believe you're a good deal or your product's a good deal. And if you believe it, even if you do a lot of things wrong, they're probably going to buy in. If you don't believe it, people are going to see right through you and they're not going to go with it. All right? So that's how and that's why to become a hard closer, even if you are a nice guy. Yeah.